Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my 9th update on my Pan That palette. I am working on this palette right here. This is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye palette, which is an all mattes neutral palette this year. I actually started this back last October, so I have a playlist which I'll link up in the cards, in the end card, as well as in the description box of this video so that you guys can see all of my progress if you are new to this series. I highly recommend that you go and check it out, at least a couple videos in the sequence, just so that you can see all of my progress, because I have been working on this for quite some time and I really started with this palette being very underutilized. I had had it for a while. You know, I reached into it a few times and I did have one of these shades previously in my Pan Those Eyeshadows project, but for the most part, it didn't really look all that loved. And right now on the screen, you'll be seeing what my palette looked like last update so that we can do a little before and after comparison of what it looks like now. Here's what my palette is looking like today. I don't have any new pans in it yet, but as you can definitely tell, I have expanded the pans and there are some changes that this palette has seen over the past month, which is exciting. I'm happy to always be making progress. So unfortunately, I have not hit pan on any of the shades in this palette that I've been working on, that I've been kind of focusing my efforts on, which are these two shades right here, this chocolatey brown color, as well as the matte black. The matte black doesn't look all that well used, but I do want to eventually hit pan on it. I'd love to hit pan on it before wrapping up this project pan. So that's kind of my goal, is eventually I'd like to hit pan on it. But I do think that I should be able to hit pan on the more chocolatey brown shade sooner than the black. However, my progress is very slow going with it. There is a little bit of a dip starting to happen in it now. It's a little bit more noticeable than it was last update, but it still isn't anything super substantial. And that's wild to me because I have been reaching for this palette a lot and I have used that shadow quite a lot over the last couple months. However, I did play around with these two shades right here just to compare what they looked like on my eyes in comparison to this one that I'm focusing on. And quite honestly, I kind of think I'm just not going to focus at all on either of these ever, because they are decent, but in comparison, I just prefer this shade right here a little bit more. Actually, let me swatch them for you. So they do all function very comparably. This is a swatch of each of the three shades. So in sequence, we have this one right here, which is called Solas. The next one is called Shax. And this last one on the end right here is called Sytry or Sytry. And so we have Solas, Shax, and then Sytry right here. And as you can see, yes, they're all different deep matte browns, but they all really do look very similar on the eyes. And Sytry is just a little bit more of like a warm brown in comparison to these other two, which pull just a touch more cool. And personally, I just find that the shade on the bottom here is the most flattering on my complexion and with the variety of looks that I like to do as well. Like, I have that incorporated in today's look. I've been wearing it an awful lot over the last couple months, and I just find it's the most flattering out of all of these matte browns. So I've kind of decided that I'm not going to ever work on the other shades in this palette. They're just not really my personal preference, nor do I want to just stretch myself too thin and try to focus on shades that are just all so comparable. So these two, I think I'm just gonna kind of like pretend aren't in the palette. Maybe you guys would think it's a really good idea to maybe use them as bases for Franken shadows, or maybe I should just repress some other shadows into here. Let me know what you think, and maybe let me know what shades you think are gonna work alongside this palette. I have been thinking for quite some time, seeing as this pan is empty, that I was going to repress something in here, and I haven't been able to commit to anything yet. So let me know what you guys think about that idea. If you have any input or suggestions on what I should do with those pans right there, it just seems like so excessive to work on them in addition to working on Sytry, which is just my favorite one of the three. And otherwise, this palette is looking not super different from last month. The only thing is I have definitely expanded the pan on the light yellow shade right here. I've been using that to brighten up under my eyes very frequently, and just to brighten up around my face as well, like on the top of my nose and in the center of my forehead. I think it's really nice for that purpose. and I've been using it almost exclusively to set down my eyeshadow primer as well. And then this shade right here, the pan has definitely expanded on this shade because I've been using it so much as a transition shade, and I've been wearing it also as a blush very frequently, or at least to like buff out other blushes as well. And I do think that I should be able to have this done soon, perhaps not next month, but definitely soon that will be done. So even though visually I'm feeling like this hasn't changed too significantly, I actually haven't looked back at last month's photo, so I don't really have a direct comparison. I just feel like because I'm looking at it every single day, maybe it doesn't look like it's changed that much. However, it has gone down a gram, just over a gram actually, 1.03 grams. So it's weighing in currently at 213.56 grams, which means I have surpassed my goal. I've just met my goal of using up a gram of product like I was trying to do earlier on in this year. And I can definitely tell you that I have reached for this palette so much more over this past month than I have in months previous. I've just done my eyeshadow so much more often over this past month than I've done basically since like March. So I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy about that number. No new pans to report, but I've definitely been reaching for this palette quite a lot. Every single day that I do my eyeshadow, at least 2 of these shades are integrated into my look. And I know that I'll be making more visual progress over the coming month. As for my next update, I'm not gonna set myself any too serious goals because I just think I have really good momentum with the shades that I'm making visual progress on. So I think next month we will just see some more significant changes in terms of pan growing in the shades that already have pan on them, and then hopefully a bit of a deeper dip happening in this shade right here. And I think I could definitely reach for it more often than I have been, or use it in a bigger variety of ways as well, because I haven't really used it much as an smoky liner. I've mostly just worn it on like the outer third of my lid, and that's basically the only way that I reach for it. I'd like to use it more often as like an all over lid shade and as a liner shade. So I'm going to definitely focus in on trying to make a more visual dip in this shade for the next update. But otherwise, I am happy with my progress. I'm really stoked to see that 1 gram of product used again. Hopefully I can do that for the next month. And yeah, that's actually everything that I have to share with you guys about this palette right now. Let me know what you think. Should I repress some shades into this, or at least like depot the shades that I'm not interested in panning? Let me know what you're thinking about that. In any case, I am really happy with my progress, and I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching and for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.